blessing. When are we going to, oh Lord, our central blessing? Are you telling me these people lived all their life, thousands of years after thousands of years, and they didn't do anything that can make God happy? Even Satan himself one time pleased God. Even Satan himself, according to the Bible, was one time in union with God. So what are we not saying here? But they properly indoctrinate you. Change your brain. All you remember is a central cause, a central cause. The amazing thing there is that the people asking you to deliver yourself from a central cause, they are the real cause. And some people came to Africa. For 400 years they rape. For 400 years they kidnap. For 400 years you were abused. For 400 years they murdered. As we are speaking, they are still on the same path. Just that they have upgraded their stand. They are not evil. God is not angry with them. Don't let me talk to that God today. No, God is not happy. He's happy with a terrorist lugard. The condition we find ourselves in Nigeria today, somebody made it. God is happy with them. They are not praying for a central cause. So wake up, brother. We must go back to our. It doesn't matter how you want to define it, but the people must know the truth. You know, some of you are very uncomfortable now because we want to talk about your ancestors. To you, they are evil, and we should consider them there. But to people like us, they can never be evil. According to Adamu Farouk, my Hausa friend, he said, if I see Hausa man eating another Hausa man leg, if I see Hausa eating another Nigerian man leg, I will not say he's bad though. If I see my ancestors doing bad, me, I will not say it's bad though. Now you know. On this segment, by the special grace of Chukwukika Abiyama, our topic is an art of worship. It's an art of service to humanity as demonstrated by our ancestors. A very long topic there anyway. An art of worship, which is an art of service to humanity as demonstrated by our ancestors. Our ancestors, who you think they are evil, had a way of worship. And their way of worship demonstrates a service to humanity. Our ancestors does not just go to church or mosque or shrine or whatever they worship to worship God. But they demonstrated their art of worship by rendering service to humanity. That is what our ancestors did. They call it evil because the message was presented in such a way that you think that they are evil. And so in this study, it is said that our ancestors worship idols, which is not why I am here tonight to defend them. I don't want to defend them, but to redirect our mind in order to be liberated from the burden of guilt. I'm not here to defend our ancestors if they worship idol. One if Pharoah, you don't even know the meaning of Pharoah. But I want to redirect your mind, that is my purpose, so you can be liberated from the burden of guilt. The Bible says if our heart does not condemn us, then we have peace with God. If your heart does not condemn you, you have peace with God. If I am having issue with anybody, if I am having challenge in any area of my life, and as a person I notice that I become afraid, I know there is problem. I will go back and pray. I will go back and commune to the Creator, my Creator in the Spirit. I know something is wrong. But when I have issue with you, it doesn't matter who you are. The moment Obi catching me, the moment my mind strong, I know I am justified. I will not fear you. Let me teach you something a little bit so you understand the benefit of ancestors. It was one day I went out with my father. We were strolling. And we gone to a particular place. My father started searching his pocket. I was still a very young child. And he said, I have lost the house key. And I was looking at him. You can imagine maybe 6 years old son looking at the father, he lost the key. What do I have to say? And then after searching his pocket, he didn't see the key. He kept quiet. And then after some minutes, he said the key did not lose. We will see the key. I say, how did you know the key did not lose? How are you sure we are going to see the key? He said, because I did not feel bad about it. And my father started explaining to me that if by the time he noticed that that key is not with him, and he felt bad that he has lost something, he said he will not see that key again. But he didn't feel bad that he lost something. So we are going to see the key. So I followed him. We went to our normal strolling without bothering about the key. At the end of the day, we came back home. As we were opening the gate to enter our compound, we saw the key on the ground. So while he was locking the small gate, the key fell from him. The key was still there when we went out and we came back. And ever since then, I've been monitoring it. These are the things you benefit from our ancestors. So when we go to the farm, we know how it's going to be. We sense when there is danger there because we are connected to the earth itself. Because we are the children of the soil. From this earth he made us. We are still connected. But like I said, I am not here to defend them, but I want to deliver you from guilt. Why I brought that issue up is that as a Christian, you understand that until Satan is able to burden you down with guilt, which will open door for fear to captivate you, he cannot strike you. Satan has tried everything he can to frustrate Job, according to the Bible, but Job was not falling into his trap. And when he appeared before God and God said, have you seen that there is nobody like Job, a righteous man? A man who fear God and eschew evil. Satan said, you gave him this, you do this, you do that. And God said, then go and test Job. But don't touch his life. But Job actually failed that test. Because Job have harbored fear in his mind. And that is one day. Oh, if my children die now, what will happen? Hey, if I lose my wife now, what will happen? Oh, if my business... He was harboring this fear. And because of that, he continued praying to God. Forgive my children who have sinned against you. Forgive my houseboy. Forgive everybody. Oh, don't let this, my fear, come upon them. No, fear is a torment. Fear is a snare. And of course, if you understand what the Bible is telling you with a spiritual understanding, you will notice that the moment Job was struck by Satan, the first thing he said was, that which I fear has come upon me. And so in Biafra land, we fear no beggar. Now you understand. After all, fear simply means false evidence appearing real. They are not real. They are false evidence. And so the enemy will make us to become afraid. The enemy will make us to be guilty of a sin we didn't commit. Now the moment you give in to it, he opened the spiritual portal for them to strike you. But as far as you cannot allow them to make you to be guilty, you see at the end of the day, they can only rigmarole around you. They will just be rounding you. They can't climb you. And now, what I'm bringing these things up is so you understand. The moment you believe your father is evil, you will suffer for their sin. My father is not evil. The moment you believe that, something here, our ancestors sin, they coming for you. The only sin of our ancestors is the worship of firewood. Are we not worshiping that firewood today, both in the mosque and both in the church? And then we have been praying how many years? That is not my ancestors. But of course, like I was saying, thank you, my comrade on Facebook. You people are doing wonderful work for me. I can assure you that anytime I come on air, I see most of you. I have a very big confidence to continue. You know, there are always Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani somewhere to come and Okwema. Oge mebu oge. Umuchuku jangwere. But let's continue anyway. An act of worship is an act of service to humanity as demonstrated by our ancestors. They made us understand this. Now, we look at the act of worship through the providence or benevolence of God by name calling. Let's look at an act of worship by our ancestors. The only thing they make you see that our ancestors did was evil. But this is how they worship. They worship God by name calling. Today we keep calling Chukwu Kike Abiama. But a lot of people are battling with it. They say it's a name of deity. It's a name of Arose. But from my understanding, Chukwu is the big God. Okike is the creator. Abiama, come closer and you will know me better. I don't see anything Arose there. Okay, maybe the Igbo dialect is the Arose. Let's stop there. They worship God through name calling. Our ancestors. Now, let's look at it. When you go to English church, managed by Yoruba Company, Different Church Limited in Nigeria, where Biafrans are being reconditioned, remodeled, rebranded, repositioned, reindoctrinated, so you don't have sense again. And when they say worship God, this is how we worship God. Oh, you are the rose. Oh, you are the lion. Oh my God, you are the toro. Oh, you look like the lily. Oh, it looks very sweet. You are diamond. Okay, let me sing the good song. Lord, you are more precious than silver. Although this one is not that one, because they are just trying to compare with him. But it's still it. Oh Lord, you are ram. Oh, you are ram. But they are trying to worship God, but they blaspheme. They are insulting God. I told somebody one day who was worshiping God, oh, you are the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Oh, you are the Lamb of God. Oh, you are the Rose of Sharon. I say, my brother, can you worship God with that same melody in Igbo language? He said, why? I said, just try it. You will see you are insulting God. But when you are saying it in English, you think you are worshiping God. Let's follow so you understand who your ancestors are. Oh Lord, you are the Lamb of God. Number one, lamb. Oh Lord, you are the Rose of Sharon. Number two, rose. Oh Lord, you are the Lion of tribe of Judah. Number three, lion. 3 items you are calling God. Now let's bring these 3 items into Igbo language. And then you begin to convert it now to Igbo. Oh, Chineke nna ebu atoro. Chineke nna ebu anompama. Chineke nna ebu osisi no n'ime ohia. Is that not what you are saying? If I lie, please, when the line opens, call me and say it's not true. When you say somebody is a lamb, in Igbo language, what does it mean? Nna ebu atoro. Wake up in the morning and look at your father and say, nna ebu atoro. The slap you will receive, COVID-19 will catch up with you immediately. I want you to follow. Also, you understand that our ancestors, the act of worshiping God is an act of humanity. I'm just trying to create this scenario so you understand who they are. Our ancestors never called him Anompama. Lion is a bushmeat. And anytime you call God, your God a lion, you are reducing him. You call God a man, it's even an insult. You call God an angel, it's an insult. And then you are calling him, you are a tree in the forest. But our ancestors said to us, Odi onye yiri yao, Odi onye yiri yao, Iman odi onye yiri Chineke nke n'igwe o. Unwere onye a ga-eji ma ya tụsọwụ ya yiri ya o. Ọ dịghị onye yiri ya o. Ọ dịghị onye yiri ya o. Ịmakwa na ọ dịghị onye yiri Chineke nke n'igwe o. Unwere onye a ga-eji ma ya tụsọwụ ya yiri ya o. Now these are people who worship evil. They are the evil people. They told you your ancestors are evil. But they cannot do that. They will not reduce the creator to lamb. They can't reduce the creator to even man or angel. And now you understand. Our ancestors worship God in form of name calling. They call him big name. They don't say he is those things. They call him big name by what he does. If you go back to the ancient time from the Bible where men worship God according to the Bible, they call God by name. Some call him Elohim. Some call him El Shaddai. Some call him Jehovah Nissi, Rapha, Sikenu, Shalom, Shammah. They call him different name. It was an act of worship. Let's come back a little bit in a Pentecostal style. In some song we say, Jehovah Shammah, Jehovah Nissi, Jehovah Elohim, Jehovah Adonai. We give you glory, honor, power, majesty. You are the Lord forevermore. This is a Western way to worship God. Our ancestors did all these things. And then another one would say, El Shaddai, El Shaddai, Elohim and Adonai. Age to age you're still the same. By the power of your name. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, Elohim and Adonai. Lord, I praise and lift you high. El Shaddai. These were people who worship God like our ancestors. Because this is how our ancestors worship God. I want you to understand who your ancestors are. And then when we are fighting to restore the land of Biafra, and some people are fighting to take away the land of Biafra for you, you have no idea what is buried in the land of Biafra. The day Biafra will be restored, you people will understand why many countries in the world, their feet is on our neck to make sure Biafra is not restored. But you start by, first of all, love your ancestors before you love your neighbor. Now, our ancestors, when it comes to the art of worshiping God, this is how they worship him. Go and listen to that Ogomo, that native doctor. Go and listen to our ancestors who had no affiliation to any form of religion. There is a way they worship God. The same way you begin to hear. Okwagi bwe cheto ubiesike o. Okwagi bwike nja gaga o. Okwagi kewaru simiriye. Ime kwa nwanya ga koturu ime. Okwagi yo Chineke o. Oke miri na-ebu ogwe. Okwagi yo Chineke ma nebuchi. Isi ala gingwe, isi ala gingwe, isi ala gingwe, isi ala gingwe, isi ala gingwe nwane otunye, isi ala gingwe, isi ala gingwe, onye jemonu, isi ala gingwe, onye ajanyisi, isi ala gingwe. They call him different names, different names. These were out of worship, but believe me, it's not just a verbal expression. It was a way of their life. They call God name based on what he can do. And they worship him based on who he is. And now coming back to the second aspect of this study that I want us to focus on. It's that art of worship eventually become a service to humanity. Now, if we want to go to our Bible and looking at the book of Leviticus chapter 23 verse 22, where he talks about famine. Because I want you to understand that everything our ancestors did is all about famine. But before we go to the Bible, let us go back to our ancestors. Our ancestors managed a community where they breed humanity, a community where they care for humanity, a community where it is conducive for human to do well. Ebe biri ugo biri, onorube nwane ya agbaloso. Not vocal, but in truth, in sincerity, in honesty, truth, justice, and equity, fairness to everyone. Live and let's live. And one of the ways they made it possible, it is by worshiping God through the act of service to humanity. Now we go back to our culture and tradition. Farming. As a child, my parents normally take me to the village during the holidays. The idea was for me to know my village, most especially as a first son. I need to know everything my father knows. And so, if we have holiday of 1 month, they will make sure I spend 3 weeks in the village. And I will face one side to narrate this evening, and most of you must have experienced it. And when we get to the village, I noticed that in the morning, as early as 4 or 5 o'clock, everybody is awoken. We have to trek about 3 to 4 kilometers from the home inside the forest where our farm is located. And if we leave by 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, we get to the farm around 6:30 or 7. It's a very long walk. But yes, they were my mates who trekked that distance to go to farm. And when we get to the farm, we have a house in the farm. We call it Ulubi. The first thing they do is to prepare food. We prepare to walk. We eat food, take our breakfast, and then we start walking. My uncle has a very large farm. There is no form of advanced farming tools or equipment available. We use the manual way. And then we walk from that morning till around 11, 12, break. And when we get to the break period, it's 4 in the evening, we start going back home. And then this is how the cycle will begin over and over. There are a lot of things that happen during those periods. But I'm just trying to cut the long story short. Then I noticed that at the end of the farming season, we harvest everything in the farm. I remember in those days, my father will send his 911 to the village to go and bring in those food crops from the farm for them. So many yam, melon, cassava. And by the time they return all these crops after harvest, I noticed that they don't harvest all the crops. They don't harvest all the crops. They leave some. And then after they are conclusively agree that they have finished harvest, then the next day, my uncle or my cousins will say, let's go to the farm. And I will say, but we have finished harvesting everything. They say, no, they are going to set trap for rabbit or other animals. And I noticed that when we get to the farm, I will see some women, some children, most especially women and children. They are in our farm. They are harvesting the crops we didn't take. And so I begin to feel that it was a deliberate act, and which was rightfully so. So our ancestors don't harvest everything, because according to their culture and tradition, there are people in the village, widows and orphans, who cannot help themselves, so they deliberately leave those crops for them. And so in the place where I come from, they don't harvest everything. And the way God does it is that the next year after harvest, we don't farm on that land. Most especially when you have other places to farm. And so that farm of last year becomes something we call Ubo Echo. We call it Ubo Echo. I can't explain what it means in English. But this Ubo Echo, which is a last year farm, God does a miraculous thing there. It grows up with different crops. Pumpkin leaf, watermelon. It grows with water leaf. Different crops. Cassava grow. It will shock you. You will understand the adage that said that the cow that does not have tail is God that chase fly for them. The next year is not farm. We don't farm there. But when you come back, you will see yam growing. Every different crops growing. And the grass in those lands don't grow much. We call it tobacco, sugar cane, different things. And then I see my village people coming to take all those things. Nobody stopped them. And then until I grew up. And of course, as a reverend, each time I study the Bible, I compare it with my ancestors. So that if they made mistake, let me know how to beg God. And then I discovered in Leviticus 23 verse 22 that God actually told the children of Israel that at the end of the farming season, they should not harvest everything. They should leave some for orphans and widows. And then my ancestors that supposedly were evil, who told them? Is it Arose that told them? Is it Arose that told them to do that culture? And I know most of you, they do that in your village. So who told them now? So when you can't tell me our ancestors are evil, not mine. Have you seen American condemn any of their European police anywhere in the world for killing black? I think this should be the first time. They even promote you the same way it is in Nigeria. Once you are a Nigerian police from Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, Igbo, just kill one IPOB member, you'll be promoted. Kill one Biafran youth, call him cultist or hoodlum, you'll be promoted. But let me not digress further. So who told our ancestors how to do that? Those from my village are listening. They are hearing what I'm saying, and they know I do not lie. And so what I'm trying to tell you in effect is that our ancestors at the end of the day don't just see worship as worshiping God, but they make it an act of humanity. And when you go to that farm and you listen to most of those widow and orphan trying to get something to eat from the farm that you deliberately left for them because of God, or that God made provision for them so they too can feed and not die. Because even the Bible made us to understand that God even made provision for animal. That is when he say, do not muzzle the oxen that tills the ground. If he make provision to provide for cow, why wouldn't he make provision to provide for orphans and widow? And our ancestors acknowledge this. And I know one of those widows who was always very close to our farm. Just like the case of Ruth and Naomi in the Bible. And any time this woman come back from our Ugbo Echo, she has so much cassava. She sings so much song. One of them is Sonem Gogo Inye Chuku Menimo Eronimeo Uori Jumobi Wo Osokamo Usulubwe Keni Mekele na Fansoyao Sonem Gogo Inye Chuku Menimo Eronimeo Uori Jumobi Wo no sokamo Usulubwe Meni Mekele na Fansoyao. That widow, she will be singing this song. Help me rejoice for what the Lord has done for me. I never thought about it. My heart is full of joy. Rejoice, rejoice. The God that has done this for me, let his name be praised. And now, you see the act of kindness, which is a service to humanity as demonstrated by our ancestors, has put joy and worship in the mouth of the people to the Creator. Imagine if we live in that kind of society today. Imagine a society where a widow will not be going to flirt to take care of the children. Do you still have that in mind with all your church and everything you are doing, calling your ancestors evil? Do we have that provision today? Ordinary COVID-19. Nigeria has made money out of her citizens more than supporting them with palliatives. Is that not a shame? And anytime they talk bad about our ancestors, our Biafra ancestors, our heritage and culture, and you support them, you are evil and you are a hypocrite if you fight for Biafra restoration. And now you begin to understand. These were some of the things they did. You would not have known. Most of you would not have known, but now you know. They made provision for everybody. The people are not, they are not going to pay, how do they speak this grammar? The gratitude is for nobody. I come back and I say, Papa Okenkwo, thank you. We go to your last year farm, we saw many gari. You don't do that. It's not Papa Okenkwo's own. It's not Mama Okenkwo's own. I tell you, some farmers will deliberately leave a lot of foodstuff there. Their happiness is that in the evening when they look at their children are eating. They are satisfied that their neighbor who is a widow, that their own children are still eating. Today, do we have that kind of mindset? Do we have that kind of mindset? So people are easily going, oh, where is Judge Onyeibe eating money? Oh, Judge Onyeibe is eating money. Is hungry. You know Judge Onyeibe is hungry. Your job is to monitor him. Hey, he's eating money. Don't you know the one telling me your ancestors are evil? You see your brother is hungry for him. A service to humanity. And so when our ancestors were actually worshiping God according to that name, those who see him as a god of war, they worship him after that name. Until you understand why they worship him the way they worship him, you do not reserve the moral right to condemn the way they worship him. After all, you are. What am I saying, Biafrans? If all unity as it were in the beginning, the enemy will not be able to do the nonsense they are doing in our land today. They won't. And when you come home, those of you in that, you will see what Nigeria has kept her populace. You will see what Nigeria has done to all of us. I have traveled from Biafra land to Duduwa land to Orewa land, remote villages. Even without the resources we have in Nigeria. But of course, Nigeria is actually designed to emasculate all of us. Financially, mentally, morally, and otherwise. You will see how people suffer. And so our ancestors which worship God saw it as an art to see. Not an art to buy private jet. Those people are not evil. Why won't Muslim kill you? Why won't Fulani herdsmen ravage our village? Why wouldn't they be rugaring everywhere to take over our land? Why would they respect us? And as such, you should kill they should kill you. Biafrans, wake up. Biafrans, wake up. Biafrans, go back to your root. And these principles are put in place. Imagine what a fellowship we will have as a people. Imagine the true love that will transcend from each and every one of us to another. It's our voice to worship Elohim, Chukwokika Biama. Imagine the miracle that will happen that day. I'll be back in a minute.
Feel the vibes.